Ben 10 wears this very powerful watch that allows him to transform to a lot of different aliens across the universe. This Omnitrix that he wears is considered one of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, if we're being honest. One could say he gets stronger as time goes by, some of his most powerful aliens having some sort of caveat to where he can't just spam it every single episode. This project was a nightmare to make. It took a while to film this. And this is the Omnitrix creator. It took him 6 years to create the Omnitrix. He's one of those characters that didn't just stay the same age throughout the series. For the most part, the Omnitrix is very comparable to the other show, even if the art style does indeed change. Ben 10 reminds me of a combination of Beast Boy and Green Lantern from DC Comics. He reminds me of Beast Boy with the fact that he can change the different creatures or aliens, and they have different attributes. They get weaker or stronger depending on which actual creature he uses. Green Lantern, because it reminds me of the fact that he has one of the most powerful weapons in the universe. When I say he has a lot of aliens at his disposal, he has a lot of different things he can use against you in a fight. Heatblast is one of those forms that he's had always since the beginning. It literally is self-explanatory when it comes to his namesake. Heatblast. This is basically his Human Torch form where he wants to be a blast power fire type of user, pyrokinetic abilities. The characters that Ben 10 turns to are actually species throughout the universe and just races throughout the universe. Pyronites, for example, evidently live on the home planet Pyros. Of all the homeworlds in the galaxy, Pyros is the only one that's actually a fully functioning sun. If you blast him by flames, more than likely it ain't gonna affect him too much. Several occasions like this explosion, he's okay because of flame. He has survived being frozen, though, by Big Chill. It did restrain him for a bit, though, but he was able to break out of it on certain occasions. He gets lasered without injury. Most of these forms have some form of superhuman strength, like holding up this burning roof. Seems to be one of those forms that can't really do too much harm to Vilgax, though, one of his main villains of the show. He needs other transformations for this. They can use his speed as a way of attack power increasing, adding velocity. Even though water and heat don't mix, he seems to still be able to bend metal doors. Look at the shockwaves of his punches he can produce. Strong enough to stop this large wooden bell from flattening a kid. When it comes to reaction, one can say he can even dodge lasers. See what I'm saying? How he just moved out the way? He's able to dodge punches from this being when it comes to fighting speed. This is a bigger deal than you think because this same guy is extremely quick. This same guy's able to catch tank missiles being fired at him with his reflexes. The video just started and that means Heatwave should have supersonic levels of speed already. He even got rammed by this horn. This big thing. Rhino type creature. Even Heatwave moves like Speedster-ish, blinking out of line of sight super fast. He's not even the fastest form and he can still make tornadoes out of raw flying speed. Going in circles that quick. Seems like he can spam fireballs consecutively without no drain. He can fly from one end of Bellwood to the other end in an extremely short amount of time. He's caught up to moving trucks before, raw speed. If we were to take this laser feat serious, that laser is as fast as normal lasers. That would mean he has near light speed reactions already, and this is not even his speedster form, really. What do you guys think about that? Obviously, he has superhuman durability, like this time he got thrown through several walls of buildings, and he's okay. He has enough blast power to shatter a concrete bridge, shatters a tree branch, can shatter multiple trees with his blast power. He can break Gwen's force field, cause forest fire in second by accident, can ignite sandals by simply pointing at it. The true level of his blast power melts the fountain of youth as baby heat blast, causing all of this destruction. Like, yeah, he gets better as time goes by. He can just straight up fly. Based on how small he is versus the whole crater that's around him, one can say based on all of this energy he can produce, he can definitely blast away a small town at least. Heck, even a couple buildings wouldn't be much of an assumption based on all this raw power he produced. So just from blast power alone, Heatwave can definitely blast away several buildings with ease just from raw blast fire power, right? I would even argue physically he's a being that can lift over 100 tons based on his occasions with Rojo. Beings like Rojo can lift up tanks. Heatblast should be able to do this as well, meaning that Heatblast should be able to lift over 100 tons, and physical strength isn't even his main attribute. One can say this is a base for a lot of the normal sized forms that he's going to get throughout this video. A lot of these different forms do fight each other throughout the series, so yeah, they're probably all within that 100-ton range, with the exception of a few not being in the 100-ton range, like the real small creatures he turns into or something. He has these other beings turns into, like the Wildmutt, which is an animalistic species that doesn't have no eyesight, but instead has great senses instead. It's one of those reoccurring things that appeared through all his series, no matter his age. This is one of those transformations that the editors seem to like. Not to mention it even had an ultimate mode, but that's none of my business. Wildmutt can literally map out his environment with his senses, like sonar vision, Daredevil style, even sense an invisible alien. You know what I'm saying? He can headbutt hard enough to collapse a section of a cave. tackles beings through walls, rips off robot head with his arm, grapples with things that are way bigger than him, showing that he's way stronger than what he looks. Max's exosuit can lift giant machinery, that big, right? He can grapple with this suit. I think it's safe to say he's in the 100-ton range too. Claws can pierce through plumber security drones, right? He has great traversal when it comes to just raw speed. Jumping from tree to tree, right? Has no problem ripping holes and stuff with his mouth. A steel tower collapses on him, and it's okay. All of that. Showing his resilient. Took an attack from Upgrade, a thing that can control electronics and stuff, an alien being. Transformation like the Diamondhead, where he literally turns into green crystals. Species in the universe. One of the best looking ones, I would say. Body's extremely hard. When he wants to pierce stuff, this is the form he goes to. He's strong enough to stop elevators with his power. By slowing it down, defeats this goob monster, punching power, just scuffling. Underwater, he can bind enemies in crystals. One can say this form can stretch. He has light speed reactions similar to Heatblast, like I already showed in this vid. I would say his speed is comparable to Heatblast. Neither are speed-oriented forms, right? He can generate a lot of crystals, like on some area of effect type stuff. Fighting this mummy-type creature, dodging attack. Reacting with it, punching power. Too many occasions of making crystalline weapons. When it comes to physically, big things like that, seems to be able to absorb energy and then fire it back. Beings that are bigger than him. He even got punched all the way to the moon, and his durability was able to withstand it. I'm saying physically, he's definitely above Heatblast and physicals. Look at doing that, all that crystal he can generate. Knocking out Kevin by manipulating the atomic structure of his body, kind of making his limbs bigger, adding more mass. Look at all that crystal stuff he can generate. He's one of those characters that get stronger as time goes by, because Ben 10 learned how to use his aliens better throughout the series. Able to harm characters like Vilgax when characters like Heatwave could barely even harm when it comes to raw physical. And he's heat resistant. He can make projectiles like Gatling guns. Full-blown battle with Vilgax. That's clear writer intent there. Consistently imprisoned, kind of like on some icy type stuff. Vilgax in this moment in time was able to fight Kevin 11, a being that was able to fight forearms, Ben 10 transformation. Now we're to the one where they call the speed form. I bet you a lot of you have been waiting for this. Probably one of the more flashy forms, I would say. Ben actually has 2 speed forms. This and Fast Track is another one of his modes. Some of the reasons I think some of these aliens exist is because they want to give some of the older Ben 10 some love, because Ben 10 does have possible futures where he gets older and unlocks a lot of different aliens. Originally, he only could use 10 aliens, but he found out he can use 10,000. So they kind of wanted to show that there were other speed beings in the universe in his watch, I guess. Anyway, let's get on this speed mode. Even though he's speed-based, he still seems to have superhuman strength to be able to grab 3 people at once. I showed this being Rojo in this video already. So it's like he kind of does have punching power, but most of the punching power is because of his raw speed though. But lifting power isn't his strong suit. He has to build up velocity to punch it away or something. Because it's implied he can't really hurt Vilgax like other forms like Diamondhead could, for example, even with his raw speed enhancing his velocity with his punching. So maybe the amount of raw speed isn't enough to make up for the lack of physical strength he got, while Diamondhead and them can just punch Vilgax and hurt him. Even after building up all of that momentum, he doesn't even budge. He has knocked out an adult Gwen before, and he can fast enough to shatter parts of armor. See? Speed, blitz. He likes blitzing. No gun. Night-night. See his armor? Boom! Just playing with him with speed. He just rapidly traverses the null void. It's like this dimension. Yeah, he's just massively faster than the eye can see. He can traverse large sections of a city in a very short amount of time, and runs up the skyscraper carrying heavy stuff. While he's blitzing, sets up furniture real quick, using his speed in convenient ways, speed blitzing some random folk, consistent blitz style stuff, causes a nuclear reactor to melt down by overloading it with speed. You see what I'm saying? Just messing up stuff. He has combat speed too, like he can repair stuff, showing that he does have combat speed. On this occasion, he moves so fast that time is basically stopped. Normal humans can't even tell he even appeared there. Like he's straight invisible. They don't even register a blur in their eyesight. This is just messed up. Those guys probably thought they was drunk playing this game. It was like, why can't I see nothing? Implied he's way faster than lightning. Helped Gwen escape a lightning bolt hitting her. Outspeeds lightning again, showing that he's at his speed over and over again with random civilians with lightning, saving them from a strike. Speed, implied to be able to avoid lasers or energy projectiles. Blitz style. Can't just hit him. Speed. He can create vortexes or tornadoes with his speed. Pretty much instantaneous. He takes no shame in blitzing you in multiple directions. Like you don't even know what's going on. He can even create a vortex to try to remove all the air around you. That's a yikes. Using the vortex maneuver, he was able to lift up, knock over a member of the way big alien species. Yeah, I said way big. The way big alien species is one of the many aliens that Ben can turn into as well, but I haven't got to that part in this video. Yeah, they're over 100 feet tall, and the Speedster form was able to knock a member of their species over of the way big. Did so using this vortex technique, showing how much speed can do. I feel like this speed alien, even though his strength isn't his main attribute, I still feel like he falls in the category with Heatblast, because I'm thinking that's kind of like their standard. He could probably lift at least over hundreds of tons, but at the same time, it's hard to say. But maybe I would say he's maybe a little weaker than Heatblast, but he can make up for it in raw speed. You know, I just think they're in that range, right? This speed mode can casually run at Mach 285 speeds at least, thanks to the fact that he was on the baseball field and literally nobody in the entire arena or people on the field couldn't even see even a blur of him. He was completely invisible to the human eye. Even the baseballs that are being thrown 70 plus miles per hour were completely frozen in comparison to his speed. Not to mention that baseball feat was casual and nowhere near his true or him running his fastest. Characters that are not even speedy type of forms have reacted to lasers consistently. Whatever they can do in speed, this form can do better. Not to mention he can literally react to actual light without being hit by it. This is the speed form, and forms that are not even speed modes have reacted to stuff that were lasers and stuff in the past, meaning this form should be faster than light or speed of light speed of minimum, right? And since this mode is considered the speed mode, isn't it fair to say that the other modes that aren't necessarily speed based, whatever they can do in speed, this form should be able to do better in speed? Same with other speed modes like the fast track, which I'm gonna go over later on in the video. When it comes to their speed, we already know they're at least light speed, right? But to add on top of this, alien forms like Chromostone, this form isn't really a speed-based specialized form, but yet Chromostone has speed feats to be able to go over 5 million times the speed of light. This species seems to be stupid fast, being able to fly all the way through the universe to another planet, proving in raw travel speed. That would mean Chromostone can fly over 5 million times the speed of light if you can fly halfway across the galaxy in a very short amount of time, like in real time basically in the episode. That should mean technically the speeds, their forms should be able to at least be able to go this fast or even faster since they're speed based and this form isn't, right? When you think so, right? Gray matter, another form that Benson has, but he kind of specializes in intelligence because the creator of the Omnitrix is a member of this race. Ben in this state has really good intellect. Like he's gotten trapped in glass jars before. A regular human can trap him in his hands. He even struggles to open a hatch in a fireplace. But he did rip open a coolant pipe, though. This is kind of stronger than you would expect. At least Gray Matter has gills, though, so he can breathe underwater. He's smart enough to crack a combination of lock in a few seconds. There was a limiter on the Omnitrix. Gray Matter is the one that's responsible to remove the limiter on the Omnitrix. Builds a sun gun. Talking about intelligence. A device that can fire off beams of light. He knows what a piece of alien tech can do just by looking at it, showing the instinctual deductive reasoning of this race in general. They just naturally smart. Literally hacks into an alien robot because he's smart like that. Understands alien tech that he's never seen before. Located nerve clusters because he can just figure out your weak points. Yep, he's that smart. But I think we all can agree that the best proof of this species' intelligence is the fact that a member of this species is the reason why the Omnitrix even exists in the first place. So that's probably his biggest feat. He is literally one of the alien species that is smart enough to create the Omnitrix. So you get it. I'd say one of the coolest designs is Four Arms himself, a brute type of transformation with tons of raw strength and just power in general. One could say he's the consistent brick that Ben pulls out. He redirects an energy blast from Gwen, showing his raw power, smashing a guy into these pillars, showing his power. You gotta respect it. Look at this ultra massive baseball bat he tosses around. Implied he can kind of do a thunderclap. Look at all that force, building size thing. Respect that raw power. Based on how much damage he can produce compared to the size of this monster, I would say he can definitely lift up a blue whale, be able to produce this much energy to harm a being this big. He slugged out with the Mayan god of death, causing all this debris crumbling, breaking sections of the stone tomb, wouldn't you say? Punches hard enough to what a steel bridge under them caved in. Say he can easily level buildings if he felt like it, or houses. Multiple support pillars, he can punch folk hard enough to go through them. Things that hold up bridges, strong enough to collapse a portion of a tunnel is raw power. Reacting, punches into this giant robot, even though it's bigger than him. This large rubber band ball he can lift up. This large stone pillar that has to be way over hundreds of tons. He can just move it that easy. More incredible feats of strength. Look at all of that. He can lift. This stuff shows no effort. Like, this is little effort. He can lift up stuff this dense. More than one, too. Strength. Four Arms has some good reaction time. This gargoyle trying to blitz him. Literally way too slow for forearms. Even rockets seem to be slow to him. He catches it more than one. Dodges and blocks lasers fired by this robot. See how he just reacts to it? He's durable enough to get launched through multiple floors. As strong as this alien is, he's still not the strongest one. Forearms is definitely one of the strongest ones, lifting around hundreds of tons with ease. I would say he can lift over 200 tons without really knowing for a fact his lifting power limit. I mean, he can thunderclap and make shockwaves to hurt beings that are 50 times bigger than him. I'm just saying. The fact that he can lift up pillars this big pretty much confirmed he can lift some of the heaviest aircrafts in the world, which would mean I would say he can lift over 700 tons. There's aircrafts that weigh around this range as well, so that's not no surprise for him, and it seems like he does this stuff casually, especially that pillar one. There's another alien on a swamp fire that I'm gonna get to later on in this vid that has lifted up some heavier stuff than this, but which one of these do you think is stronger? Because I would consider forearms to be more of a brute than swamp fire. And if swamp fire can do this stuff when it comes to physicals, wouldn't you say that forearms should be able to do this as well? You know what I'm saying? That's just my 2 cents on it. But I'm going to get to what swamp fire has lifted later on in the vid. I personally just feel like anything that swamp fire can do physically, forearms should be able to do better. But that's none of my business when it comes to just brute force, when it comes to physical strength, right? That's what he specializes in, right? He's the tank, right? This doesn't apply for all his forms, though. It's just this one in particular, you know. So for debate. You got transformations like Stinkfly, one of the few flyer aliens that Ben can turn into. He has some impressive durability, even including some of the heavy hitters. But he can fly and shoot slime. He can pull Santa's sleigh around the world. Strength-wise, pretty quick in flying, too. Breaks out of the hold of this alien's tentacles. Saves the family in the process. He can continue to fly despite being held on by Vilgax, even though he's big like that. Bends the metal roof of a truck. Impressive strength feat, was able to keep a falling helicopter from falling by flying underneath it. Let's not forget that he staggered a T-Rex. Yeah, his strength is pretty decent, even things that are that big compared to him. His tail pierces through the metal roof of a car. He reacts to these lasers. Avoids this beam, showing he has good reaction. That makes him unique as this slime he can shoot out of these little tentacles in his head. The properties of him are interesting. Like being able to put out these flames. This slime was able to crater Vilgax, like that. So he can shoot pressure. Was able to use it like some spider web. Like, you see what I'm saying? Sticky to hold this helicopter like this. Stinkfly just gives off a bad odor in general. Aliens in this species, for example, can emit gas from their rear ends that's toxic. Like, ouch, and can somehow shoot laser. One of his big weaknesses is that he can't fly when he's wet. Yeah, by the way, he can produce a lot of this gas from his rear end. Yikes. He can use this goo as a distraction to shoot it in your eye. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say Stinkfly is the weakest, but when it comes to physical attributes, I would say he's definitely weaker than in forms like Diamondhead and Forearms physically, though. He's probably still stronger than characters like Greymaster, though. That's fair, right? He did survive this giant explosion and was fine. Vilgax, like he's still conscious. That fact alone makes him durable enough to withstand buildings exploding on him. And then you got aliens like Ripjaws, which Ben turns into. Still one of the weaker tier aliens, I would say. He's basically a fish type alien where he depends on swimming. He's actually reliant on water, honestly, which could be a weakness as well. He's like a situational type of, heck, dehydration is like suffocating. If he's dried out, water can like power him up and rejuvenate him. He's bought off fingers before, bite off chunks of a car hood, tears through cyber squids, tears through a high-tech scuba suit, took a hit from a big old kraken. He used anchor as a ranged weapon before, breaks through the pier from beneath. You can use his speed to torpedo out of water. He can create a powerful whirlpool. This is thanks to raw speed, along with others. Look at that, Vortex. He can turn into aliens like Upgrade. Talking about Technopathy, he can literally possess technology. I would say this form reminds me of Brainiac and Cyborg from DC Comics fused together.
Touch the electrical guy when you're made of living metal.
He's made of living metal. His body is made up of billions of smaller cell-like creatures called nanites. It allows Upgrade to reshape and move like liquid even though he's a solid being, which is why he basically has shapeshifting. They say mech morphs can't upgrade living tissue, making the merge with Ben's DNA incomplete. That's why he speaks with Ben's voice. It's occasionally morphing a hole in his body to avoid danger, hacking in their own tag. There's no problem morphing into a ball after grappling. Liquidy morphs into a big old wave to get these villains. This alien species can just pure regenerate, even after being blasted all the way apart, like literally being completely obliterated. Gunfire goes right through his body. Liquidy. He can shoot lasers out of his eyes though, so Upgrade has his way of defense, not just hacking. Energy beams is highly energized biomechanical blood. Makes energy spikes come out of his wheels as a bike. Blasts lasers. Speed-wise is implied he can dodge laser. He even took control of Kevin's car one time, which is basically a supercar. He even made it fly. Then morphs into a giant mech on some Optimus Prime type stuff. Like, he literally turned it all the way. If you have cybernetic parts, he can merge with your body and pretty much force you to be useless or have it fall apart like that. There was this human that was infected with nanites, right? Of course, Upgrade got a hand on it. He actually upgraded him. Anything he already had, he could do better thanks to Upgrade. Just made him an overall more powerful being. Rex can do cool stuff now, like launch his fist like explosive projectile, makes his sword he already had bigger and fatter, slice, even help out his flying apparatus stuff. He upgraded all the parts that can fire missiles themselves. He can shoot stuff without having to grab stuff from the area, thanks to this upgrade. Before he couldn't do it. Transform his bike into a better bike that can hover. He caught this punch in his mech state, starts disabling the being's mech-like stuff. It's just not fair to fight mechanical things as Upgrade. It's almost like an instant win. If you're a mechanical alien, he can basically straight on fuse with you. Like how he upgraded Clockwork via fusing with him, made him better and stronger than ever before. Clockwork is just another form that Ben 10 has as well. I mean, this kind of feels like magic. Made a popcorn machine into a machine gun. He took over a massive crane system because he can to fight with it like that. Tell me that ain't impressive. Light him up. You see all the people's files in their computers. Even take control of the computer and be the computer. Not to mention that Upgrade is a cheat code in video games. Even go as far as beat the final boss with one hit by controlling the boss. Tackles Vilgax, moves a helicopter by punching it. Punching power. Matches this guy's strength. Respect it. Like that. You see what I'm saying? This same guy can lift freaking tanks. And Upgrade can just straight up match his strength, meaning that he can lift over hundreds of tons as well. So he's one of the stronger type forms. Not necessarily as strong as forms, but he's one of the heavier hitters. You know what I mean? Ghostfreak is another alien that Ben has who is very dangerous and powerful because of the fact that it's sentient and it had the potential to escape the Omnitrix itself. Because he's literally a ghost with ghost-like attributes, has the ability to possess other beings. It's so sentient and even possessed Ben. Still implied he can hurt you physically, like tearing through metal with his claw. Does all this damage when he was possessing Ben. The people that was fighting him actually got a little scared. See, he's intangible, slam him like that. They can just fly. See what I mean? But yeah, he can just full-blown possess you, control all their movement. He can make other things invisible when he touches it. In this state, dodges, blast from a sun gun, speed, beams that shoot as bright as sunlight. He can even pierce Vilgax's armor. In Omniverse, he gains a scythe on top of it. Then you got the Cannonbolt alien that he uses. He specialized at rolling at things at very high speed, ramming into it like a literal ball. He entered the Great One, right? Giant alien. He started cannonballing his way all around his body, his heart, all that stuff going through his ribs, causing all that damage, basically blasting him apart like that. Too much. In the future, he's still a beast. Impossible future type stuff. One of the few forms that can actually hurt Vilgax, the same Vilgax, that can smash the head of Mount Rushmore with one strike and throw heat blast through multiple buildings. All that power. He was shoved underground this one time, like that, tunneled his way back up, tunnels through the solid rock of a cave because of raw power. Casual. He blocks lasers repeatedly, reflexes. See what I'm saying? He has no problem blitzing a group of rock golems. He can move fast enough to avoid getting shot. He's handled atmospheric re-entry by being rolled up. He is hurt a little bit, but not significantly harmed. Pretty decent durability. Like how he got hit by this axe, but it didn't pierce him. Just hit him far away. It even has an ultimate mode, ultimate Cannonbolt. Whatever the other one can do, this one can do better. Heck, even bounces around nuclear reactors. Rapidly bounces around the room. Kind of reminds me of Majin Buu, bouncing all over the place. Speed. I would say he's safe in the tier with these guys, if we're going to be honest. Similar to Diamondhead and Heatwave when it comes to just raw power. He's one of those characters where he can get strong with more momentum. Already kind of shown to be able to react to lasers. One of the weaker aliens, Wildmutt. Not the weakest, but one of the weaker tiers. It specializes in its own thing, though. He's basically a plant-like alien that can stretch. He can grow spikes, slice. Same with blades, slice, making multiple. Does a whole bunch of reps with these large weights. Seems like it's a struggle, showing he's one of the weaker ones. Lifts 2 giant weights with his feet. You know what I'm saying? Flings the weight in the air after some struggle. Yeah, he's one of the weaker ones. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's one of the weaker ones, stretch, can still kind of hold up the car like that, even though it's hard. Pulls this guy up on a chain so he doesn't get boiled. Then you have ones like Spitter, who can inflate into a ball-like shape and spit out concentrated blasts of very slippery slime. Yes, some of these aliens are absolutely ridiculous. even though he has evidence of his enhanced strength, not too much flashy here either. And then you got Buzz Shock, which is basically an electrical small alien that Ben can turn into. His name is self-explanatory, Shock. He can move as electricity, can move through the ground as electricity, turns into literal electricity to dodge an attack, showing the speed. The more electricity they consume, the stronger they can get. State he can punch that hard, can black out a city in seconds by absorbing all this electricity, powering himself up, drains the power of traffic lights. You know, when it draws the power of a whole city, it begins to get powerful enough to duplicate itself. He's easily faster than lightning because of this, and can get stronger with more lightning. Full potential unknown. Ben can turn into this reptilian creature that has cryokinesis and can freeze things. He created a ramp in midair. You know, he was able to freeze that much raw power. This alien was pretty strong on Diamondhead's level. Freezes a large mass of lava here. Can you respect instantly? Pretty decently strong alien. Of course, he has to have a creature that has almost every element, right? We've went over ice and lightning so far, and even fire. It's basically like wolf version of Ben. Really crazy sonic yell too. Can do damage to metal doors by striking them because he just has that kind of strength. Heck, he judo flips another one to the ground. Can tear through solid concrete with his claws. Gouges claw marks in large robots. Slice. His sonic scream is insane. Like breaking all that. His yelling can redirect throwing knives. This being can even see in the dark. A mummy freaking alien transformation? Are you serious? He can detach bandages from his body. Even when he morphs back, they're still there. Holds back a squid monster, the mummy mode. A possible future version of this being was able to snare Humongosaur with these bandages constraint. Another members of this species destroyed a barn with a single slice or swipe. Well, that's not necessarily him, but it's the same species, so he should be able to do the same. He even loosened his body's composition to dodge lasers. This is totally a callback to Frankenstein's monsters. An alien species that looks similar to Frankenstein? Call him Frankenstrike? That means he's pretty cool though. He has a cool amount of electricity though. He coats his fist in electricity for fighting like that, combo style. He has no problem with zapping ghost-like beings, like on this occasion. Beings in the same race can do this to Gwen. This is not necessarily Ben here, but can do the same because it's the same race that Ben can turn to. Aliens in the same race can flex out of ice like Victor did. Oh, Ben should be able to do this as well because he has the same genetics as it. This guy, Victor, crushed a tank by landing on it. Victor can even lift tanks, so this is one of the stronger modes. Actually was the thing, he did this to the ground. Basically Frankenstein, look at the strength. Victor's even reacted to speedy form, showing that he's competent in reaction speed. He has this alien known as Upchuck, which can literally eat anything and digest it into powerful energy. This species can eat a whole bunch of scrap metal, eats a missile container, he can swallow it. There's really no need to explain it even further. Yeah, literally eats anything. After consuming this, he got so much power, he was overflowing with raw power. So the more powerful thing he eats, the more powerful his blast would be, I would say, right? Energy-wise.
Is 20 times more powerful than the sun. Mishandle it, and you've got an explosion big enough to blow a continent off the face of the earth.
This is that same energy he consumes, which is why he got so overloaded like that, did all that. One could say he could produce continental blast power based on those statements. And look at the blast part he did to Mount Rushmore. And his vomit is extremely hot. So the limits of this Upchuck transformation is actually pretty good. Depending on energy absorption, one can argue he could blast away multiple continents based on if he absorbs a big enough power supply. Seems like he can digest anything also, you know? But I would say his weaknesses, don't allow him to eat your fist or something if you try to punch him, you know? Then he got this alien known as Ditto he can transform into. He can basically make copies of himself. That's what he specializes in. But they all share the same pain though, wouldn't you say? His cloning is evidently limitless. Epic. They fast enough to dodge laser blasts. I find it funny that they don't always agree with each other, be arguing. They lack physical strength, but they can use the environment to take on people that got them physically. They say strength in numbers, right? That couldn't be more true. Wouldn't you say? All of this falls on them. Strategies and tactics. They have no problem with dog piles. Can literally duplicate to make a chain. So they can just catch up like that. Strategically leads a mutant bird into a net. Strength in number. Yeah, but to keep it 100, he's one of the weaker ones. Yeah, he can just make clones. That's basically the thing he specializes in. Then you got the alien known as Eye Guy. Yeah, he literally has a whole bunch of eyes on him. Pretty much self-explanatory. He can see from all these eyes as well. He's one of the hardest guys to sneak up on. He has literally eyes in the back. They seem to be enhanced eyes. They can visually pick up the trail of cologne. Goodness. He has energy blasts that can shatter stone creatures and blow up gasoline tank. Shattered rifle with his eye beams. Literally fires 6 beams at the same time. What in the heck? He even fired 12 beams at once using his arms. All the lasers everywhere. and even a big eye. He even fires beams to help him propel himself. Combines all his eyes into one big eye to overheat a nuclear power generator. Very versatile form. Even Frieza, this being on this occasion, creates a ring of fire with his heat blast. He can fire sticky eye goob. He can use freeze beams to cool down the pipes like that. One of the few aliens that he can turn to is way big. One of the few that's actually stronger than Four Arms and even Diamondhead, some of the other strong aliens. You can get an idea of how strong he is based on other beings that use this species or other aliens that is the same species as race. See what they can do. It kind of applies to Ben if we see another species does the same thing as this way big species. I mean, you know he's a beast when at the end of one of the movies, way big come out as like a special alien that was like the trump card, right? They made a big deal out of its power. Just by default, you know they're strong because the species literally are 100 feet tall. So just based on that, you already know he's way stronger than the average alien just from being like weight size scaling. Just like if Ant-Man was to grow to the size of a city, he would have to have city levels of strength if he's just that massive, or he wouldn't be able to even stand up. That's the same thing with way big. He has to have the physical strength to be able to support his own weight, so that automatically makes him at a certain level of strength, just from the size alone without even seeing any feats. Beings in these species are born in cosmic storms. They have no home planet. Cosmic storms is how they're created. They are the rarest species in the universe. I would like to think that the more rare, the more powerful. Wouldn't you say? Supply and demand, right? All these red areas on way big's body is actually metal. It's kind of proven when Kevin touches a piece of him, he can transform to it, showing that it's not alive. Gunfire is literally a joke to way big, nothing to him. Too strong for Vilgax's strongest robots, overpowered alien. Notice how Vilgax couldn't break his grip, one of the main villains of the show. Literally throws him to space casually. Vilgax is able to cause all that destruction. He can pick up other beings that are the same strength as him, other species basically like him, slams them through buildings. Yeah, they're bigger than buildings. Giant mosquito get murked, picks up this car, throws it that hard, that far. He lifts this massive jump gate that actually is bigger than his actual size, showing his actual strength. Accidentally destroys a statue like his size, and it was made of a special material.
What's it made of? Neutronium carbon alloy.
This hyperspace jump gate, way big lifted up. Other Ben 10 YouTubers like Ink Tank did calculations on Way Big's feet. Thanks to the density of this metal that Way Big lifted up, this portal gate that dwarfed him in size, they estimated scaling with the metal that this gate was made of, plus the size of Way Big, plus the size of the thing that Way Big lifted up, Way Big can lift the freaking moon up. Thanks to Death Battle, they calculated the weight of the moon for me, so I wouldn't have to. That Way Big can lift. Thanks to this feat, he can lift over 70 quintillion tons. Not to mention most people can strike harder than what they can lift, so more than likely Way Big can punch harder than this force he can lift. Multiple ultimate aliens that kind of gangbang him. He smacked away. Get the heck out of my way. He fought this giant trash monster, beings that are like him in size, respected, push him away, letting you know he can fight beings on his size, or even overpower the said beings. Bigger than Bridges, got respect for him yet? During his battle feat, he has no problem picking up huge boats. Massive boats get picked up. The fact he seems to be bigger than mountains. Look at the highway versus Way Big. Beings in the Way Big species have literally destroyed planets. That let you know the Way Big species ain't no joke. They can even blast through sections of a large asteroid via cosmic rays. Can casually destroy Gwen's shields, cosmic ray style. Sorry, Gwen. Get an idea of Way Big's blast power. Look what he did with his cosmic ray. This is impressive, destroying a piece of him, because this guy known as Malware, he can survive the destruction of this planet in a smaller form. Yet Way Big, with his blast power, is able to harm this said being. He even overpowered the Conquest ray, blast power-wise, blasting the ship apart. He overpowered this said ray that can destroy Pluto, the same ray that he just deflected and overpowered. Yes, this is that same blast Way Big just blasted back with his blast power. This is the same Conquest ray that destroyed Pluto in Alien Force. The reply, yes. Word of God and writer intent is my specialty. Writer intent is very important to further concrete his power. And more writer intent on the fact that Way Big can destroy a freaking planet. A small planet at least. Way Big, when it comes to blast power, basically just can produce over 53 quadrillion megatons of force, aka force powerful enough to destroy the Earth if he felt like it. And yes, Earth is considered a small planet when it comes to a lot of planets in our universe. Not to mention, with his blast power, he can damage beings that's bodies that can endure planets exploding on top of them. Injuring something with this level of density shows his blast power even more. Way big. And then there's the fact Way Big has an ultimate Way Big form, so whatever this form can do, this form can do better. So he's more than likely way past the planet ranges at this point. He can literally fly. He pulled this huge Dagon being out of the sky, something that dwarfs even him, showing that he's stronger than what his weight is by a lot. I'm gonna do something fun for this video that I never normally do, right? Let's take a person in real life, right, that's about 6 foot and about 200 pounds. We already know Way Big is over hundreds of feet tall. One can even debate if he's 300 feet tall, but I'm a lowball Way Big's weight. Let's assume he has the same exact densities as us mere humans, so this is a massive lowball. Let's just say Way Big is 100 feet tall. That already makes him 16 times taller. That would mean his weight would even be more than 16 times. Thanks to the square cube law, something that's 16 times or even 3 times or whatever times bigger is actually way more than 3 times as heavy, because when you get taller, that's only one metric. But in real life, when people get taller, they get thicker, they get wider, and they get denser. So that's the square cube law. That would mean Way Big weight would be 16 times 16 times 16. So while Way Big is only 16 times taller, that will make Way Big 4,000 plus times heavier. That will mean Way Big, at our bare bones minimum, if we're just assuming he's a mere mortal like us humans, has to be at least 400 tons, assuming that he's 100 feet tall. 400 tons as a megaloball. Even YouTubers have calculated him to weigh way more than this. This YouTube I brought up earlier even calculated Way Big being almost 300 feet, making his weight around 8,000 ton range. So yeah, it just depends on how you see it, really. This same chap estimated his weight. They compared the metal that Way Big's made of to ordinary metal we know in real life. He would weigh 40,000 metric tons. So him to be able to pull something that weighs more than him out the air with his flight in ultimate mode is insane. His blast power was able to hurt this being on his Dagon with his cosmic beams. This same Dagon is impressive. He was able to eat attacks from a planet-busting sword. Like, you see this sword? Look at the raw power this sword can produce. See that? That sword. Dagon took attacks from the same sword. Kind of reminds me of Shumagrath from Marvel. And Way Big's cosmic blast can hurt a being like this. Now he can shoot rapid fire cosmic rays. He has elements like swamp fire that he literally feels like Swamp Thing with Human Torch put together. He's like a combination of Heatblast and like the other plant alien that he used in the past. It's able to harm Kevin, pushing over this massive weather tower. Decently strong nonetheless. All of that weight. So yeah, he's still pretty strong. Lifts up all this weight. Rips it out of the metal hinges. Since he's plant-like, he can regenerate pretty freaking quick. So he's very squishy and can project fire. He even regenerated his freaking head. Look how much he got beat up. Body getting sliced apart. Still able to regenerate that quick. Thaws people out with his fire manipulation. Blast power like that. Incinerate. He even became ultimate swamp fire. Got a new look and everything, forces this creature's mouth open. He even melted Diamondhead's shard. Swamp fire's heat is that bad. And he's ultimate mode. Can bring Vilgax to his knees. Blast power. Look at this bomb he can create. Can make a massive explosion. He grew massive vines to restrain folks, and he can burn down brick walls. Ultimate swamp fire. He can throw seeds that turn into vines to block attack. Pushing this massive weather tower pretty much shows his power. I would say he can lift over hundreds of tons in swamp fire state easily. This is way over that. There's another clone type of alien species, Echo, but he can shoot sonic waves out of his mouth too. Losing his clones doesn't necessarily mean a part of him is dead for good. Can immediately duplicate into 6 copies after morphing. They have powerful sonic sneezes. Enough blast power to shatter a tank. Loud. Of liquid. Talking about loud blast power. Can make a defensive shield of sound. That's epic. In ultimate mode, seems to get a massive power increase in general, like breaking through all this ice, all that ice. Ultimate mode. When it comes to his lifting strength, he's even better than before, able to lift heavy behind stuff up, along with Kevin. And he can now fly. He was able to contain a nuclear explosion by going in ultimate mode, by using multiple discs, showing how much of a helpful aid he is. Look at that level of blast power. Through all that, he may not look like much in this state, but he's actually a beast in his ultimate mode. Humongousaur is the new form, I would like to say, is the teenage Ben 10's version of like Forearms or Diamondhead. when it comes to being a new go-to brute, not counting way big, of course. He's like the powerhouse of the group. He even has an ultimate mode that seems to be leagues above his standard one too. Humongosaur can jam his hand through solid stone, aliens that are big as him. In his clash with Vilgax, shakes faraway buildings, able to stop this momentum of this hybrid giant temporarily. Strong enough to hold up a collapsing. He can get bigger, by the way. Highway overpass, he can get stronger as he gets bigger as well. This is still base Humongosaur. He has manhandled hybrids before, tugs this massive piece of alien tech up a cliffside. He said, F it, let me just increase my power and grab this to pick it up even faster. Rips a light pole out of the ground, and he gets strong enough to lift the Washington Monument that much. Lifts up and throws a train, great distance. Obviously, he can lift up cars. That's light work for him. He can lift up multi-storied wooden buildings. Yeah, that's strong. Lift mobile homes. Can lift this big creature up. Like if you could throw anything to space, it shows your power. It just takes an overwhelmingly amount of force to do something like that. He tried to lift Excalibur out the stone. Forearms couldn't do it, by the way. This kind of proves that Humongosaur was better in strength. He rips the stone out with Excalibur. This kind of proves that what mode is superior in power. Literally switch back and forth. I'd say whatever forearms can do, Humongosaur can do better when it comes to strength. And considering what forearms has lifted and how strong he is as a bare minimum is impressive. And this is not even counting Humongosaur's ultimate mode. Like I showed earlier in the vid of how forearms lifts up several hundreds of tons with ease. He lifted up the Washington Monument, something confirmed to be over hundreds of thousands of tons. This is Humongosaur without going into Ultimate Humongosaur, him just increasing his size, implied to be stronger than forearms without even increasing his size. So once he increases his size, he's even stronger, and then the Ultimate mode on top of it. It's just too much going for him when it compared to forearms. I love when they lift up stuff that actually exists in real life so it can actually have a real weight on it. That's the cool part about it. Humongous, he's able to restrain Jet Ray in his arms, other powerful aliens that Big can turn into, showing that he's the physical superior. Breaking Gwen's shields, of course he can. Catches this guy's Rex arm. Raw power. These pillars ain't ready for his power. He's pretty quick. Like being able to dodge laser. He briefly resisted energy absorption from a guy that's always draining people or beings. This same being always draining folks really quickly. Humongosaur knows sumo wrestling. Ain't that funny? Seems like he can get double or triple the size of himself, so maybe his strength can double or triple, it seems, and this is not even counting his ultimate mode. He can evidently shrink down to 10 feet if he wishes. If he's just in restraints, he can just grow to rip out of them. If he feels like it, then you got Ultimate Humongosaur. Like he got projectiles now, hyper evolution. You can get an idea of how strong he is based on anybody in the species representing Humongosaur, not necessarily just Ben. So whatever you see other Humongosaurs in the series do that's not necessarily Ben, it still kind of counts to Humongosaur. Look at the punching power he can create, fighting a whole bunch of other Humongosaurs. Showing that Ultimate Humongosaur is way above your base Humongosaur. I would even argue this punch was on some city-shattering levels of type stuff. Just look at that massive crater. Look at this massive crater that he did with one punch. Ultimate Humongosaur's power is so crazy that he can fight a whole bunch of different Humongosaurs just on a totally different level of power. They can shake a good portion of the Plumber space station with their punches. That's how much energy they can produce, slugfest style. Lifts up large boulders bigger than himself. Seems to be very casual. Power. Stadium lamppost. Let me lift this up. Raw power. He can even lift up way big. Who I've already proven in this video that who could weigh at least 400 tons or even up to 40,000 tons depending on how you look at way big. And Humongosaur can lift this being up, but being able to lift him up is already a big feat considering the mass of way big. Atomics. Knocked him down multiple floors. Humongosaur is able to survive all of this. So I think it's obvious that you have to respect Humongosaur. I mean, the guy fought over 100 different Humongosaurs in his ultimate state. All the Humongosaurs are around the same level. It just kind of shows the ultimate is just way stronger than base Humongosaur. No matter if it's either Ben or somebody else. Seeing Jet Ray, he's one of the quicker beings, has great maneuverability, can fly, and physically pretty strong, so he's pretty well versatile. Kind of got like Stingray-like stuff, like these neuroshocks he has as well. He even reacted to a blast of electricity. Speed. Based on Jet Ray's appearance, his physical strength is the quite surprising part about him. Doesn't have issues being in the vacuum of space. He damages fighter jets with blast power, blows up loaded trucks with blast power, blasts apart asteroids, can blast from eyes and tails simultaneously. Beings from this species can even sting Humongosaur to your character, letting you know how their species works. Can rapid fire like against Vilgax. He can cut stuff up too, like that, with blast power. Like heats up a large bomb. In this occasion, both ends heating it up. Booyah. Jet Ray is not as weak as you think. Older Ben in this occasion. You know, time travel in these shows. Or flash forward. He used Jet Ray in this occasion, but he didn't actually look like it if you're confused on why he didn't look different. That's why I would say he could at least lift 50 tons. Jet Ray, wouldn't you say? Like, look at all that. I would say this is the new school version of the ice manipulator form. Yay! He can even fly and go intangible like the ghost form I showed you earlier in this vid. He's immune to extreme temperatures, and he also has enhanced strength. He overpowered Alan's heat blast with ice blast power. See what I mean? He's overpowered lasers. Oh, did I forget to mention? He has an ultimate mode as well. He freezes you so cold to where the ice burns. He has the same exact powers as before, but just to a way better degree. Puts out a raging fire, ice blast power, made an ice slide, you know what I'm saying, out of the water to catch Gwen. Freezes entire fortress. That's a lot of freaking ice projection. In his ultimate mode, freezes all these beings. Oh yeah, there were a lot of them. That many, which is why he had to go ultimate mode in the first place. Even icy flames with his hands, creates trails of fire while he's flying. Icy. He can make a large wall of ice spikes. Let me tell you, he can go invisible as well. And very hard to hit because he can go intangible. Can freeze things by phasing through it. He can even use ice while he's intangible. How do you even counter this? In his ultimate mode, if you punch him while he's intangible, freeze your arm. Most of his forms can avoid lasers. That's like the main form of attack in this show. He even outflies the speed of a missile. Like, it's literally chasing him. And he's able to use his raw speed to avoid. He literally holds back Gwen's mana constructs with strength. Can easily escape force fields when he goes into this mode, if he's trapped, by simply using intangibility to get out. Lasers he avoid. Drinking Molten. Yeah. Freezing Vulcanus. Phasing from the floor to avoid danger. Similar to Diamondhead, we got Chroma Stone, another silicon-based character alien model. His body is made of highly dense crystals, and he also specializes in energy absorption, which can make him a top tier, depending on how much he absorbs. One can say he's kind of as strong as Diamondhead, at the very least physically, slugging it out with Kevin. When it comes to ranking Chroma Stone in the power hierarchy of the show, he's strong in characters like Swampfire, but weaker than Humongosaur. This gives you some perspective on the power hierarchy when it comes to this Chroma Stone species. Like, he rips open a semi-truck trailer with strength, matches and overpowers Crash in strength, showing he's no featherweight. Respect the power. Hurts this large dragon-like alien with blast power. This same dragon can eat missiles without flinching. That respect. Coats his body in chromatic energy to melt through this web. Blast power enough to do this to Vilgax, ricocheting him. He can absorb energy without him even realizing it. Blast it back. He absorbed this being's blast. That being is powerful as crap. You probably remember this same being from earlier in the vid. Yep, this is the same being that has enough raw physical strength, blast power, etc. fight on par with Way Big himself, who is indeed a planet buster. So one could say with energy absorption, Chroma Stone can absorb planet shattering levels of raw power and redirect it. Maybe not in that physical power level, just in base form, but with energy absorption, he can absorb it and then redirect that same planet shattering raw power. Chroma Stone with that energy absorption, bruh. This species seems to be stupid fast, being able to fly.
I didn't know Chroma Stone could fly.
All the way through the universe to another planet, proving in raw travel speed. That would mean Chroma Stone can fly over 5 million times the speed of light if you can fly halfway across the galaxy in a very short amount of time, like in real time basically in the episode. Implied he can even phase. He's been shattered by Vilgax before, and he was able to regenerate. Brainstorm is a smart-based alien, but of course his weakness is like really large sound, which gives his brain a headache. He creates force fields. Energy blast can harm Big Chill. See that? Brain energy blast. Telekinetically moves a train and train tracks. So it's kind of like a psionic being. Brain people love telekinesis. He can calculate geometry really well, like figuring out the trajectory of a perfect hole-in-one because of physics and math. Yeah, these smart characters be a beast. Brainstorm. He can talk via telepathy, create some sort of mind waves. Did I mention he can levitate? He's definitely one of the weaker aliens, but he specializes in doing geometry, planning stuff out, getting a perfect plan executed, stuff of that sort. And then you have the transformation known as the spider monkey. It's exactly what it seems, a spider and a monkey. You know, spider-themed powers. Punches seem to be great, like punching that hard. He can hit you hard enough to break trees. Does this. pull it down, raw pulling power, broken concrete. He can disarm folks with his webbing, can blind you with his webbing, webs up a buzzsaw weapon, stopping it in its tracks. His webbing stops a moving car of that such. He can go ultimate mode too. Ultimate spider monkey looking like a gorilla. He can pierce concrete with his leg, raw power, like that. Seems like here's a drastic strength boost, lifts a part of a crane. Power, uproots a tree like it's nothing, then uses it as a weapon. This species can bend steel, catches forearms arms, showing he's comparable to forearms in power. Albedo in this case, Ben 10's strength is similar to the same being because he can use the same species. They let you know that this ultimate mode of this spider monkey kind of makes him a heavy hitter, makes him strong enough to be able to lift up webs and stuff. Because earlier in this vid, I showed how strong forearms was. Can even shoot webs out his mouth. Humongous sortiers. He webbed up too. Then you got the slimy type aliens, liquidy, but it's actually stronger than you think. His main weakness is that this slime form has like literally a turn off button. These slime forms literally need this to even move. When Vilgax had the Omnitrix, this was the weakness they used against them. Since he's slimy, he can just kind of reform no matter if he's splattered. Makes sense, right? It seems like turning off this gravity thing is like one of the few ways to remove the Omnitrix from somebody. He got atomized here, but I'm gonna let them explain it to you.
He's been atomized, spread throughout the entire ocean.
He helped bring the atmosphere back together on this planet, and laser swords pass through him, turns into a web here, can supposedly harden his liquid body, strength. I'd say this alien is not to be trifled with. I mean, he destroyed this robot, Technodon robot, from inside out by just exploding out of it. Yikes. Get murked. I mean, he literally is responsible for holding the planet Pisces together. And then you got the almighty Alien X transformation. Basically a celestial of the verse. Celestial sapiens. Basically literally godlike reality warpers. It's one of them transformations he can't just spam because these two personalities have been arguing forever. And he got to get them to agree to something to even do the transformation in the first place. If they agree to, they can give Ben full control over Alien X.
Let me borrow the keys to Alien X for a minute to save the universe, and you guys go on disagreeing on everything.
Alien X literally survived the destruction of the entire universe, yet Alien X was fine after all of this crap. He endures being punched all the way to a different planet, powerful enough to stop his attack with energy projection. Blast power. They casually go through several meteors. He's destroying planets, just flying through the cosmos in their collateral. Yeah, this is what it looks like when two cosmic beings are fighting. Alien X is a celestial sapient. A sword made from DNA of a celestial sapient, aka similar to Alien X's DNA, was able to cut force field that not even Chromostone could blast through. A sword made out of Alien X DNA was able to cut this field like that. This field was enough energy to withstand universe destructive force.
We are about to create a universe.
These continuity force fields are able to withstand universal destruction. He can create clones of himself, overpowered, forming into a black hole like vortex. Ridiculous. Just as like a complete god compared to other aliens. Telekinesis, seems to be able to just pin them to the wall with ease. Literally makes them fight each other like puppets. Crazy, right? He reforms a broken dam. Seems to have time manipulation, or one could say reality warping. Alien X literally recreates the universe that includes galaxy after galaxy. Yeah, he is truly a god. Everyone's back alive. And it's not just him creating feed. He can blast with this level of power too, because they literally state he can create or destroy universes. So that kind of goes a part of his blast power. Not to mention he made a galaxy-sized black hole. Alien X can make things just happen just by thinking about it. He didn't simply restore these universes. He literally, like, technically just a different version of these characters, because the other version of those characters really are gone for good. Recreated another universe that's the exact copy of the other one. So you can't say, oh, he's not universal just because he restored it. No, he didn't necessarily restore it. He literally just created a universe from scratch that mirrors the other one. So it's almost like they never lost the people they loved. Alien X has nigh omniscience, because how would Ben possibly know every single angle of the way the universe used to be? But Alien X almost did everything to the exact duplicate. Almost to the exact. Like the smoothies were a little different. This is goofy. They could have stopped the dinosaurs from extinction if they wanted.
To save the dinosaurs.
dinosaurs from extinction.
Alien X can do anything.
Only if Ben can convince Alien X to cooperate.
The creator of the Omnitrix believes Alien X can do anything. There's even some writer statements about the show as well, where they answer questions. Take these as you will. Like a fan even asked, can the Celestial Sapiens survive anything? Omniversal destruction, timeline destruction? Can they make themselves omniscient or omnipresent if they agreed? He said if it would be possible if they agreed to it. If they were not aware of the impending threat of destruction, they would not be able to agree in advance and they would be undone. They even say that the Celestial Sapiens could indeed try to become omniscient, but they are also aware that the enormous expenditure of power necessary to achieve an omniscient state could damage the universe. Other Celestial Sapiens would intervene and prevent their ascension to omniscient status. So yes, it's possible if they agreed, but it would never happen. They would never agree on that. And they pretty much clarify Alien X is not omnipotent. Just very powerful. Some of these questions get into danger zone. Writers pretty much say no, he rebooted one dimension, one existent right here. And they proved other Celestial Sapiens can harm other Celestial Sapiens. Celestial Sapiens are extra dimensional beings though. Alien X is a higher dimensional being, meaning they exist outside of space and time simultaneously, everywhere and nowhere at the same time. What this statement basically means is that both these Ben 10s, even though one's older and one's younger, even though are in different points of time in their timeline, their Alien X is still technically the same Alien X. That's what happens when you exist outside of space and time. A brain fart, right? Respect Alien X. It stated they can survive timeline continuum destruction. As by this. If we assume the Ben 10 universe is anything like our universe, that will mean he could lift, destroy, create quintillions of tons. This is just ridiculous. Like imagine a Ben 10 timeline, right? All these younger versions, older version of himself that has Alien X in his Watt. Him being a higher dimensional being pretty much means that all these younger versions or older versions of himself all share the same Alien X. That's why he knows things from the future, because he's literally bigger than timelines can contain. His intelligence goes beyond what your human understanding is capable of because he can see higher than 3 dimensions. All right, let's pretend we have a timeline, right? You know how us humans, we only exist in one timeline, but we get older, then we exist in a different timeline. We don't exist in the same timelines at the same time. We're not literally living in 1997 at the same time you're living in 2050. I know that's confusing. But Alien X, since he's a high dimensional being, he can't fit his consciousness into one timeline right here. Instead, he's right here, he's right here, he's right here, he's right here. He's in the past, present, future, all at the same time. Just from the being this big, one could say he should be able to blast away multiple universes if he wished and not just one universe. Because he did recreate the universe with like literally no effort, no difficulty. Implied he could have did it again. The limits of him is just really hard to say. It's really unknown. We just know he's ridiculous, right?
Unknown biomechanical organism present in workshop.
An unknown biomechanical organism alien that Ben 10 can turn into, Nanomech, is one of the weaker ones I would say. He can shrink real small. Another shrinking alien can fly. He got blast power, like shooting blasts in these guns. He flies in an alternate universe's version of Way Big, kind of like a Hex, to hurt him from the inside because he knows he couldn't fight a Way Big in an actual physical fight. Yeah, he's definitely a weaker alien. Got defeated by a fly swatter, so yeah. Then you got the species made of metal alien that looks like this. They have magnetic power, give me your guns, and they do not need to breathe. Moves a shipping container, magnetizes a robotic dragon, as you can see, stops a punt from a large metal mech, magnetically rips apart robot, talking about blast power, catches these pincers physically, struggles. Via word of God, these creatures can act like a compass. Heck, they can even magnetize Chrono Sapiens. And he's had beam struggles. And he throws Kevin when he's metal. You get the idea. He throws some metal knight. Get blasted. Yep, you're not safe. Then you got this alien on his wrath. Kind of reminds you of a tiger, a lion hybrid type stuff with claws, super strong. He's one of those guys that would be one of the heavier hitters, like maybe comparable to Forearms or something. Rips off the tank, suplexes big robots like this, tear off in their arms. He juggles a lot of weight, big old rocks, pianos, elephants on top of juggling, can tear the top of a tank in half. It's just plenty of occasions of him lifting over hundreds of tons with ease. He can use street lights to wrap you up like that, stopping speeding trucks, power, caving in the ground, flips you by the horn, lifts up this massive boulder off of him, talking massive, kicks down a sealed metal door, fart characters like Manny, who's kind of similar to Forearms, Power Driver style. Oh yeah, he can cut you, tears up a plumber ship. Claws. Kevin Levin armored up is comparable to base Forearms and base Swampfire, who have proven to be in the hundreds of thousands of ton range. Wrath shouldn't be no exception to this rule. Proved to be competent, even fighting characters that are in the Kevin Levin tier. And then you have Waterhouser, who can literally shoot pressured water. Has some decent super strength. Completely bulletproof, can combine his 2 sprays into one big spray, blast water power, has retractable facial armor, and of course he's capable of breathing underwater. This species can take blasts from Chromastone. I would say it's one of the heavier hitters. That is another electric-based alien. Can literally shock you on contact. Can conduct electricity through the floor to shock you, area of effect. Literally turn into a lightning bolt, traveling through electric line. Has decent strength. It's not what he specializes in though. Flight and maneuverability. Gotta respect the speed. Can even stretch out his tentacles to shock you like that. One could say he could just turn intangible by turning into electricity itself. He can even lift and hold people with his electricity. This alien species can. Got another bruiser alien, Armadillo. Armadillo. Get it? He's evidently more mobile than Ben's other ones. Lifts all of this weight, so it shows some strength. Smashes hover vehicles with strength. Everybody can break Gwen's shields. Can overpower Crabdover. Look at that power. This same thing has overpowered Heatblast in the past. Gets hit by this slam worm through multiple floors of the ship. Yeah, all of this damage. Yeah, fighting things over hundreds of tons. Has claws that he can transform into drills. He can shake entire sections of the spaceship with raw power. Sinks an entire castle into the ground. Energy he can produce, and he does it more than once. Definitely one of the heavier hitters of the Omnitrix. Then you gotta have a Eternalite alien species that Ben 10 can use. Strong enough to hold up this large robot's leg. Charges through a locked door. Smacks away some giant mutated seagulls. He can lift and throw cars somewhat with ease. He smacked a missile out of the air. Speed. He can produce wind by spinning really quick, like on some vortex type stuff. That seems to be his main attribute, like clearing this room of poison gas. That's simple. He can fire a blast of air out of his shell, blasting cars away. Blast power battle with Big Chill. Love seeing the different aliens fight each other. Wind versus icy cold. Then you got the NRG alien. It emits powerful radiation, very armored up. All that protection. This armor is made of the strongest mineral. Can't really break through it. Powerful electric blast can't even get through it. It's basically an energy projector. Spit can melt train track. Blast a deep hole in the floor. Cuts a large meteor in half. Blasts it out of being frozen solid. His armor is made of this material for the strongest mineral in the universe. This is how he looks outside of his suit. Radiation galore. He's very bright, hard for you to look at too. Heck, he absorbs jet rays I-beams. Grows here eating a nuclear reactor. Eats a nuclear fusion drive, this species can do. Breaks out of a mana construct barrier. He's one of those characters where he truly depends on how much energy he can absorb. He can kind of be like a normal type-ish character when it comes to power levels, but then he can absorb a nuclear reactor and then just jump tiers to be able to blast away a couple cities. He's one of those type of characters, you know? Then he has the fast track transformation, which is like some cat-like speedster species that being can turn into. Another speedster form. That's awesome. There's like these rivalry between these two forms in the community, but hey, you can say what you want about one of the form or the other. The writer intent kind of confirmed at least one aspect about these two speedster alien species. Is that fast track can lift more weight at least. Not many occasions, but blitzed. Those guys, speed, night, gotta respect the speed. Blitz style. Was able to send Kevin flying. He can run while carrying 2 people, showing his physical attributes on this side of the cliff right here. He's able to tag these beings that can shift through dimensions thanks to his speed.
The Esoterica are coming after us. They're blinking in and out. They're too fast.
Quickly disarms several opponents. Speed. That quick. Speed to help them travel through this dimension quicker. Kind of like he's the driver. And they're the passenger. He quickly searches through several city blocks, thanks to speed. Zoop, 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 zoop. Dodges Kevin several times. Literally runs circles around him. He's too fast. Easily dodges more shot. Speed. Too slow. Like, it's sad. And he's faster than Kevin's car, obviously. He can literally outrun missiles. Gives you an idea of the raw speed he can produce. I love the side view of it. A fusion grenade goes off that close to him. It went off right there. Thanks to raw speed, even though they was near him, he was able to protect them. I mean, he did survive this massive explosion, even though he got hit by it. Ouch. He doesn't have as much showings, but since he's a speedster type character and characters that are not even speedster type characters can react to light speed, and he literally specializes in this, and characters like Kevin can't react to him, I would say he has to be at least light speed via lore, but that's just a bare bones minimum. I mean, if I had to choose between him and the other speed mode he has, I'm gonna have to probably choose the other speed mode just based on raw feats. Got this alien that really doesn't have that much screen time. Species in general is pretty cool. I mean, this species through Kevin, turning invisible, breaking Gwen's shield, pummels Kevin while he's made of metal, showing his striking power is pretty decent.
Bullets didn't slow up.
Can produce sharp barb from his tail. Ching! His helmet allows him to see different spectrums. He has an alien similar to Upchuck, another alien species that can eat stuff, benefits from it, called Eatle, E-A-T-L-E. Can lift off a boulder, knocks aside stone creatures, get murked, crushes this arm cannon, like he ate a boulder here, eats a part of a cooling system, yum yum yum, chomp chomp, and he has energy beams, blast, this water monster, ate something first, then blast it. Power. This being known as Clockwork kind of has time manipulation, more of a Haxy type of character rather than just being a being of raw power. Like ages this wood by aging it in time, in this occasion with Ben 10,000, older Ben. Pauses another Ben in time. This form needs to be spammed more when it comes to time manipulation. Reconstructs the events in the room so they can figure out what happened beforehand. One of the best DC shows ever right here, by the way. Literally reconstructing the events of the room via time manipulation so they can see how everything transpired. Literally time backwards rewind. Reconstructs a conversation from days ago so they can figure out where they went. And you can visualize it. And can slow time around them. Might as well call him a speedster, dude. See what I'm saying? He even combined with Upgrade one time to get an ultimate power boost. He's already powerful, but even got boosted even further. He can transform his hands into drills. Like such. He has missile launchers built in his shoulder. There it is. Another alien that's kind of bulky, strong looking, but has electrical manipulation called Shock Squatch. Pulls a street light out of the ground, punches away a taxi thrown at him. Epic. Accidentally breaks trees, even ran a current through a street lamp. Lightning. Nice combination of brute power along with electricity. Interesting mix up, wouldn't you say? Blast power wise. Electric beam, like his agility too. Blast power. See that? Uses electricity to lift stuff up. Like on some static shock stuff. Their species in general, another member was able to do something similar. Picking stuff up. Epic like that. Restrained by metal whip, he used his electricity to conduct through the metal, shocking them like that. And shocks a nanite creature, night. Even fried Ultimate Echo's sound disc. I'd say he's one of the brutes, but just has more versatility. He has an engineering alien that can kind of build stuff. So kind of like intellectual, one could say. Because of his knowledge of engineering, like disassembles these bots. Because of his knowledge of engineering, he can rebuild living mechanical species such as Chronosapiens and even Cybertronians. That's the being known as Clockwork I brought up earlier. That's an actual species. He could rebuild him if he needed to, like robotic beings. The being that can control time I just showed you a second ago or two. He turned a food truck into something that fires weaponry. Are you serious? Had it to where it fires fire too. Engineering, baby. Blast. Creates a handheld launcher out of a junkyard of scraps. That's just ludicrous. Boom. Boom. Ha! Then you have Feedback the alien, which can absorb energy and redirect it. Decent level of strength. You see him picking up stuff bigger than him. Fast enough to kick a missile out of the air. Feedback can absorb the energy of something that can destroy the universe. He can absorb. Feedback can really change tiers when it comes to energy absorption. Just casually absorbing energy consistently. That's just the thing he does. The analog exploding can destroy an entire universe. That's the level of energy it can produce. Yet he was able to absorb such energy with this form. Then you got the alien species known as Blocks, B-L-O-X-X. It specializes in melee and some pretty decent defense. Thanks to the bulky nature, he can throw cars hard enough to knock back a building-sized monster, can fire his fist out like projectiles. He kind of reminds you of Legos. Makes a large ring of blocks. It's cool that he can regenerate. Because he's literally like blocks. Booyah. Even regenerated his head. Lifts up this boulder over his head. Power. Gravitate can kind of manipulate gravity to a degree. Can even make force fields with it. Lift things up or down. Can make like a little rolling ball form. Creating a black hole. He's basically a small planet with limbs. You know, these type of things give that away. The reason why it looks like this is because he basically creates his own orbit. Applied to be able to fly. You got the Crash Hopper alien. Kind of looks like a grasshopper, but you know. I mean, he got swallowed this one time. Throat gets punched up and he got out. He specializes in jumping far. Not necessarily known for being a powerhouse, but still can jump extremely high. and he can climb around on surfaces. This form, he can spit balls of plasma out, and then they can explode and shape them into balls with his legs as well. Like, some of these aliens just get ridiculous. I wasn't joking when I said they explode. Then you have aliens that's literally just a fish that can walk on land. Like, he really put this alien in Omnitrix. He has aliens that have the ability to put you to sleep. Pesky dust. Very silly. Like, I guess it's that much of a struggle for you to sleep, huh? But one could say this form could be a Haxie thing. Like, be able to put reality warpers to sleep. So she's still pretty useful, wouldn't you say? Then you got goofy ones like the Molestache, who can lift up trucks with his mustache, lifting and throwing a truck that fell on him, able to defeat Fiskrick in one-on-one fighting. You got alien species like the Worst, for example. This species specializes in durability. Body's very malleable. You know what I'm saying? Bending around a punch to absorb impact. This guy won a fight because his opponent got tired of beating up on him for hours and couldn't put any good damage on him. Just basically outlasting a fight. Then he has this bird-like transformation like Kicking Hawk. It has blades and talons and things of that sort. Ben says this is his best form when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. So it has some form of fighting skills at least. Kicks this dragon this time. Kicks stuff down the street. Can jump pretty decent. Kicks a soccer ball this hard. Yeah. Even survived for a short time in the vacuum of space. Here's a petrification form alien state that he can petrify people with fear with. That has a lock over his face in the cage. Even causes someone to faint in fear. Made somebody vomit. Literally vomit. Can even scare Alien X's inner personalities. Another alien he has that has a jetpack and wings, another flight alien. His energy constructs run off some inner star power, evidently. Fires a beam from his mouth, lifts and slams, large robots. So he's not weak physically. You see the energy whips. He slices a plumber gun in half. Yeah, whips missiles out of the air. Gotta love it. The bullfrag is kind of like a frog, but has some decent super strength. Uses tongue as a grappling hook. Sends a bunch of squid monsters flying. Uses tongue to smash crates. Mining drill. Tongue is pretty freaking strong. Lift up heavy stuff like this. I know you guys missed talking about some heavy hitter aliens. Well, one of the heavy hitter aliens that Ben has is Atomics. As his name implies, he can control nuclear energy. He has a metallic look. He has ridiculous physical super strength on top of the blast power he has, and durability, so he's like brick-ish. Can survive being punched to orbit, durability-wise. Negative Humongosaur, gets sent flying. Negative Ultimate Humongosaur. Same with Ultimate Negative Spider Monkey, not ready for atomics. Raw power. Can generate intense heat to melt through some webs, for example. Created a literal miniature sun. It mimics the literal attributes of a real sun. It's just miniature. It's hard to get a concrete limit on Atomics' blast power, but I would say he should be able to blast away a continent. To be able to create a sun that don't need your guidance to keep it burning is pretty impressive, wouldn't you say? One can even say Atomics is up there with Way Big because him resorting to use Atomics against Vilgax that was super powered up at this moment. Vilgax was confident that he didn't have no aliens, including Way Big, that he could turn into to beat him at this moment in time.
Change into any alien you wish. It won't do any good.
But at the same time, I don't want to reach too far because Way Big has way more flashier feats. So yeah, just take it as you will. I would say Atomics is definitely in the top 5 strongest forms he has, along with Way Big, Alien X. Then you got the alien known as Gut Rut. It can produce various chemical gases inside of its body. It can be expelled from nozzles along the creature's body. It can make gases, anesthetic, acid fumes, or truth serum. He's immune to acid breath and immune to poison gas. I mean, he did create laughing gas. I'm just saying. Can create tear gas. Versatile as crap. Can make gas to induce short-term memory loss. Yikes. Can create freezing gas. Like I said earlier, truth serum. They even go as far as say they can synthesize just about any chemical gas you've seen in cartoons and comics, although some he may have to see to know how to make. But he doesn't have as many strength showing, so it's hard to scale where he is when it comes to strength, though. You know, he's just a gas specialized type character. Had to have at least one alien form where it's vampire-ish, right? He's immune to hypnosis. It's thanks to his willpower, man. Light seems to hurt him like other vampires. Other beings in his species were getting burned by simple light, not necessarily sunlight. Other beings in the species can match Vector, can push back Malgax with his punches, one of the mightiest beings in the entire series, slams being so hard he cracks stone. The show plays with time travel a few times. You got the actual original timeline, older Ben 10, you got alternate reality, older Ben 10. Personalities might be a little different, but he's still strong nonetheless and has all the powers of the young Ben 10, but probably with more experience or better. So it's kind of the same thing, stuff I just went over this entirely long video.
If the only
Omnitrix self-destructs, it would destroy the entire universe.
And you might not want to self-destruct the Omnitrix either, because the universe would be in jeopardy. There's even moments where certain aliens fuse other aliens, like Alien X DNA fusing with Atomic's DNA, and a fusion of Way Big and Upchuck. Upchuck is the one that can eat, and Way Big is the one that's super big and massive, hundreds of feet tall, and can destroy planets with his cosmic beams and stuff like that. Crash, Hopper, and Shock Squash's DNA got fused this one time, so they look like this. That one time Forearms and Humongosaur was put together. What a lethal combination of these brutes. Even Goob and Humongosaur got fused together. You know, the gooey, squishy type of alien that I showed earlier in this video, and Humongosaur, they got put together. That's a lethal combination. But what if I told you I've been lowballing this entire time? Almost all these characters in the future state been full potential. Pretty much all becoming planet-ish Buster Ranges, if we're being honest. Kevin 11,000 from the future took blows from Way Big, shaking the city, the same Way Big that is a planet buster. He'd get back up moments later. For this future Forms to be able to do this, he has to be in those Planet Buster ranges. This same Heaven 11,000 literally was taking a whole bunch of blows from Way Big, but yet Forearms is still useful in this situation, showing that Forearms is probably a Planet Buster as well to be able to do this. Forearms even punched him through the wall, showing he's still useful. One can even argue that a lot of the base heroes are star ranges just for the fact that Atomics can literally create a small star. Could he create a bigger one? That's up for question too. Think about it. They was fighting a Kevin 11 from the future and Way Big was punching on it and he was eating those attacks, but yet Ben still had the nerve to use Forearms. That pretty much shows that Forearms isn't useless even compared to Way Big. So Way Big can't be a Planet Buster and Forearms is only city level, yet he used Forearms against a future Kevin that was taking hits from this guy. Like, it just doesn't add up for this one to be millions of times above all these other aliens from the future, or billions of times, since a lot of them don't have the flashy feats of planet busting like Way Big does. One could say Way Big is still above them, but it doesn't seem like it's a vast gap like you would think. One could say this one could be like comparable to Atomics, him being star level. One could say Way Big is star level. Then one could say these guys are small star level or something of that sort, 1/5 the power of a star. Like, it just depends on how you look at it. Same with characters like Humongosaur. A lot of the base aliens are not useless in the fight against future Kevin 11. They can't be city level and then like all the other forms of planet busters. Like, it just won't add up. Like fighting Dr. Amino. That makes you wonder, if Forearms is this strong, how strong is Ultimate Humongosaur? Now, that's a discussion I don't think anybody's ready to have. This is how I would say the graph would go. Kevin 11,000, aka future Kevin in the future, could take punches from this being Way Big, a being that can destroy planets 1.2 times the size bigger than Earth. Characters like Atomics can create stars. One could say Way Big could be around this level of raw power and blast power as well, because we didn't really see the limitations of it. But yeah, I'm just going to say Planet Buster for right now. This is a miniature star anyway. Characters like Forearms can punch beings that Way Big could barely damage, like Kevin 11, like I showed you. And the Humongosaur is supposedly supposed to be above these beings in raw strength, like I showed earlier in the video when it comes to feats. And then you got Ultimate Humongosaur, which should even surpass that even further, who was able to fight an army of base Humongosaur type species. It just kind of shows you what he's capable of and what these aliens are really capable of. I understand I went through a lot of content and aliens in this video. Just to give you a quick recap, lower tiers like Wildvine, one of the weaker ones, can still support the weight of a car though, but it's a struggle. He's a lower tier one. Wildvine. Characters like Rojo can lift up tanks. Characters that Ben has fought should be able to do this as well with some of his aliens. One of the medium heavyweight aliens. Vilgax can lift gigantic pillars like this casually and throw it that far. This is easily a 100,000 plus ton strength feat, considering Vilgax was already abnormally huge and the thing he was lifting up was way bigger than him in density and size. These galvanometric mechamorphs literally help pull this planet back together. Respectable. This is on some moon level type of feat power. Forearms endured a fall that caused that big of a crater. Humongosaur literally threw a house. A member of the armadillo species, Andreas here, was able to absorb up something that was going to destroy 5 square miles.
The discharge from the cannon's AR-9 power cell will take up 5 square miles.
Oh, but Andreas could absorb the whole thing. Can you suck up the explosion?
That's on some city-shattering levels of durability. Big Chill made it snow in the Null Void, which is a totally different dimension. This is very hard to calculate this level of blast power. But like, look at all that ice. That much to where it started snowing. That has to be some city-shattering levels of energy produced, right? Vilgax survives the explosion or the destruction of this ship like this. That's on some city-shattering stuff. Bare bones minimum. One can even say country-ish. Like, look at that. Vilgax survived all of that. Ben 10 is consistently fighting and matching his character in strength, hurting him with his attacks. In this occasion, Ultimate Swap Fire, for example. The Great One is another powerful being they fought in this verse. Kind of like Galactus, kind of dissects the planet from inside out.
The Great One, burrowing of the appendages into the core of the planet, rotting it from the inside, and then ingesting it.
Another being that Ben fight. Ben literally battles these people with his different aliens that can literally dissect the planet from inside out and rot it all the way down to the core. Ben can match these same beings in power. Beings like Malware survive moon destruction. Way big species can destroy planets with their blast power. That species in general. There was a special crystal Vilgax used to destroy the planet of Petropia. This big planet. Yes, it's not round, but it is confirmed to be bigger than Earth, though. Yeah. Don't you love the Word of God statements to prove that this planet was actually bigger than Earth? You drunk if you don't respect them by now. But guys, for the most part, that's just about going to do it. This was a nightmare of a project. Respect Ben 10. Respect all the different aliens he can turn into. Did you guys know he was this strong? Oh boy. Can't disrespect him after this. I'm surprised on how many people wanted me to do this, even though there's literally plenty of Ben 10 videos and high quality Ben 10 videos on YouTube analyzing this power. But I guess my videos are unique in such a way that people want to see me explain it, even though people have videos about it. Makes me feel good. So it lets me know that my channel is offering some unique flavor and unique value to your lives. Awesome show, awesome alien, large variety of things you can turn into. Respect them. Yeah, it's pretty much an alien for everything you can think of. Time, heat, ice, electricity. Fish, characters that has sonar vision, characters that can go ghost mode, intangible, multiple speed modes, multiple modes that can fly, multiple modes that can shoot acid, modes that can shoot pressurized water, modes that have brain and trajectory, intelligence, mechanical skills, modes that have diamond crystal forms that can make blade, forms that have multiple arms that have pretty strong size, pretty amazing strength, plant forms, plus with heat, forms that can regenerate, multiple forms that can regenerate, forms that can hack computerized stuff and control computerized things and even upgrade computerized beings or mechanical beings. He has a literal cosmic being form that can literally create a freaking universe or blast away a universe if you wanted to. Has vampire-like aliens, gorilla-like aliens, stinky aliens, amphibian-type aliens. I mean, what doesn't he have? But I'll see you guys later. Respect Ben 10.